Well,
But
who's an example of someone 10, 12 years ago that you got over that without your help maybe would have struggled?
well, it's always a group, right? Like there's never
Sure,
one
sure.
person, and only the talent can get themselves over. Okay. I've written some great promos, but the talent couldn't get it over. And I've also seen some horrible promos, but the talent was so good, you couldn't write them bad. Like they could just get anything over, right? So when I started there, once I kind of had got my bones and did some good promos for Big Show. They had just split up, Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and I wrote a couple cool ones for Brian. And then I wrote an Undertaker promo that Taker said, that's who I want writing my promos, right? So that gave me a lot of credibility. And that's when when Michael Hayes came up to me and Krista Joseph, and they said, Jeff Hardy. And I said, what? And they go, you got to make him champion. And this was all, he's like, Freddie, and they're like kids to him. He's like, now listen, you can do this. The boss loves you right now. You're going to write the story. We'll book it because you can't book for shit, which I can't still to this day. I can't book a match, but I can write you the promo that'll get your match over. I just need like a legend to kind of book it for me, right? Because it's just not my skill set. But I can write any match you book. I can make people care about it. So shoot, I made Mexican. Well, I know I better. Yeah, that dude had some trouble, so we're not going to talk about that dude. But I made Mexican people hate a Mexican wrestler in Arizona. Okay, like that's hard to do, but I pulled it off. So anyway, I start writing this story for Jeff, and he had been in the news and he had been taking heat. And so instead of like hiding from that, I just kind of embraced it and called it this gray area, right? That he could exist in his imagination, right? And there is no black or white. And the people that commit to that world want to pretend people like me don't exist, but I'm going to show both sides that I do. And we started writing these promos for him, and I started working with him and talking to him about the feeling that we would do and the look that we would have to make it look creepy. And DJ Krista Joseph shot almost everything, including the London one, because I wasn't trying to go. Vince was like, what do you mean you're not going to London? I was like, I ain't leaving. I'm not going to London, man. I wrote it. You guys deal with that madness. I want to fly on a plane with you for 8 hours, bro. So that Chris shot it. Freebird booked it, and I wrote it word for, and they executed it beautifully, and started with him and Taker and this argument that they were having from backstage and in the ring. And it sort of blossomed at Armageddon in this triple threat match that he ends up winning, and then stands on top of the Armageddon sign and had his hands up. And I'm watching from the wings, like, is he going to fall? Of course he's not going to fall, but I'm still freaking out.
Yeah.
And that was the one that probably, and I got the idea over. In the production meeting, a lot of people did not want Jeff to be champion. And my whole strategy, and I've said this a couple times, but it's show business. And one of those words is bigger than the other. And so that's my philosophy on a lot of pitches and a lot of the ideas in my head, right? So I went to Vince after everybody said no, and I showed him Jeff's merchandise sales. And I said, yo, he's selling more than anyone by almost double, and there's no belt on him. There's no belt. Don't call it a belt. There's no title. That's better. And so we go in, and I'm sitting there, and there's people in there working against me. Not everybody at the company liked me. It took about 6 months for people to like be really cool to me and start respecting what I was trying to do with the talent there. And Vince looks over at Kevin Dunn, and I don't remember who else was at the front table with him. I think it was Brian Gewirtz. And he goes, nobody touches Jeff till Armageddon. And I knew right there, I was like, he's winning the belt. He's winning the belt. I knew it right away. And I'm like, this, and Freebird's kicking my feet or Michael Hayes is kicking my feet under the table, because he knows if they see me react, they'll take it away, right? As just to teach me a lesson, because they're psychos. And so I calmed myself down, and then some of the people that were mad at me stormed out. I stayed in. Vince looked at me, gave me a nod, and I knew we were gold. And so I just wrote it out from there, and we got to make him champion. And
hey, it's Chris, and thank you so much for checking out this video on my CVV Clips channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd be so grateful if you could do that right now. Don't worry, the main channel is not going anywhere. We've got full, in-depth interviews on the Chris Van Vliet channel. CVV Clips is for exactly that, clips from those longer interviews.